All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our sixth and final webinar of the CRCC Asia program. And we are going to be talking about the top 10 networking tips for China. As many of you know, networking in China is a massive part of the business culture. And so we are going to be focusing on the top 10 tips that you can do to gain better experience and to build your network in China. So my name is Mike Moen, and I am the U.S. Regional Manager for the United States here at CRCC Asia. And let's see here. Actually, I think we might be having some technical difficulties. Once again, do apologize. Let's see. Okay, sorry about that. Looks like we are actually good to go. So yeah, my name is Mike Moen. I'm the regional manager for CRCC Asia. I've been working for us for about 2 years now, and I've actually spent about 6 months of my overall life in China, and as I have some networking tips that we'd like to share with you guys today. So I'm going to head over to the PowerPoint, and we'll go ahead and get started. So just one moment. Sorry about that. Just pulling up my PowerPoint now. Okay, so we are going to be talking, like I said, about the top 10 webinar tips for networking in China. And let's take a look here. So for our first opportunity, just to kind of let you know about what we're going to be covering in this slide presentation is our company overview, let you know a little bit about who CRCC Asia is and what we do on a daily basis. Then cover those top 10 networking chips for China, and then we'll also do a Q&A as well. Some of the learning outcomes that we hope to achieve from this opportunity today is going to be gain knowledge of internships opportunities in China, understand the key aspects of Chinese business culture, and then also understand how to effectively and successfully network in China. So to give you a little background about who CRCC Asia is, this is our managing board of directors. Daniel Nivern is a graduate of Oxford University and co-founded the CRCC Asia in 2006, along with Edward Holroyd Pierce, who also is a co-founder in 2006. He graduated from Cambridge University in the UK. And then our third board of director is Thomas Kirkwood, who came on board in 2008 and is also stationed in our Shawnee, Pennsylvania office. Some of our values is a commitment to people, a commitment to professionalism, and a commitment to global partnerships. And we hope to connect China to the global community through China internships, study abroad program, and consulting services. We've been doing this since 2009. Or 2008, we sent our first group of interns. And since then, you can see we've had quite a large growth in interns, with this year sending over close to, if not over, since the year's not over yet, 1,700 interns to China this year, and well close to over 4,000 interns year since the program started. You can see also along the bottom there, we've opened quite a few offices around the world to better cater to our local communities and to our local student populations. And most notably, recently, we started our office in Toronto this last year in Canada. We're very excited. It's been successful, and we've been building some strong relationships recently there. So what's included in our programs? We've got a variety of services that are included. These are great opportunities for students to connect with internships and professional opportunities in China. All of our programs are English-speaking supervisors. We offer business processing and visa support, pre-departure assistance. Also, you get a great welcome banquet. As you can see a picture here of our formal dinner after the welcome banquet. On the far right there, you can see Jenny Chu, one of our business development managers in the Shanghai office, along with Daniel there at the table with some interns. We also offer 24-hour support, weekly Mandarin lessons, social cultural events, and networking events, as well as our extensive alumni network upon your return to the United States. So now let's dive into the China internship program and the 10 networking tips that you can gain from that you should know to do networking in China. So one of the biggest things that many of you are aware of, or may not be aware of, is guanxi, or relationships. This is probably one of the most influential aspects of doing business in China. It's a system of social networks that facilitate business and other dealings. On the left-hand side, you can see an example of a Western-style social network or relationships. Most people are only interconnected a couple times and don't do business really outside of their smaller, minor networks. However, in China, you can see that the network system there on the right in the red is very extensive, very intertwined. You never know where your next business opportunity is going to come from, so it's really important that you maintain those relationships. So as I mentioned, it's essential to working with the Chinese. China's most business is done through relationships and networks. I think one of the most impactful quotes that you can think of when it comes to this is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. To do business, we must first be friends. This is something that's very important in China, something that a lot of Westerners have a hard time grasping. Business cards are massive in China, and as a participant on our program, you will get a professional business card, 200 of them. That one side is written in English and the other side is written in Chinese to allow you to easily network. Over time, you will grasp an idea of who knows who owes who a favor, and help you build your own guanxi, which is really great. Next is Mianzi, which is face. It's an essential cultural concept in China. Essentially, it translates as respect in Western societies. It's a core component once again. So guanxi and Mianzi is a core concept of Chinese business culture and is something that you should not underestimate. It's important to know the correct forms of addressing during greetings, meals, drinks, and conversations. One example that you see a lot is in toasting. It's important that when you are out to dinner with coworkers or superiors, that when you're toasting, that you touch the rim of your glass lower than their rim. Sometimes you'll see the comical aspects of this play out in restaurants throughout China, where coworkers and supervisors are actually getting down to the floor to toast each other to show respect that they are actually lower than them. Also, a seating arrangements at the dining table is very important. The supervisor or highest person in power or represented guest should be sitting at the head of the table or at the furthest spot away from the door. And also in answering questions, you should make sure that you are answering questions in a respectful manner. So one of the beautiful things that I personally love about China is the eating part. There's some amazing food in China. Each province brings its own unique flavors and dishes, and you should be expected to be taken out by your colleagues and friends when in China. And ordering, you will be eating not just the normal dishes. You'll be ordering some probably expensive or rare dishes is a very common aspect, and you should always accept the invitation. This is a great way to show respect. Another thing that you can expect when you're out to dinner with your coworkers or supervisors is that you will probably be eating food from that supervisor or manager's local province. So even though you might be in Beijing or Shanghai or Shenzhen for an internship, your supervisor might be from different province, and you'll be eating food from those provinces. So you probably will eat a lot of delicacies, which means you might be eating something that looks like it belongs on a Anthony Bourdain or Andrew Zimmern show, for us Americans especially, but don't be afraid to try something new. I always tell students that if it's being served at a restaurant regularly, it's probably really delicious. So you should definitely give it a try, and you'd be surprised. It's probably going to taste really amazing. Last but not least, drinking is a big part of Chinese business culture, so drinks generally flow pretty freely during the meals. Gangbei, which means literally dry your glass, is a toast to finish whatever is in your glass. So be wary of how many gangbeis you do, or at least keep track of them to make sure that you're keeping a clear head on your shoulders during dinner. Of course, the festivities don't stop at the dinner table. It's very popular in China to have after-dinner activities, and the most popular option is KTV, or karaoke. And it's going to be important that you have a few songs practiced, so make sure to get out there and start practicing your karaoke. One of the nice things you can see from this picture is it's not like a karaoke here in the United States where it's a big open bar. You get a private room with you and your friends or your superiors and coworkers. As funny as it might be, some of the popular hits in KTV in China are going to be songs from the 90s. So Spice, get up to date on your Spice Girls, your Bon Jovi, your Backstreet Boys, and also maybe some Sinatra, as they're big fans of the 50s jazz and great music from that era. It's also important that you learn the lingo, that you understand. An attempt at Mandarin goes a long way. It really shows that you are respecting the culture, you're understanding the language. So learning a few simple greetings is really important. Knowing title and how to pronounce them is really going to help. We've got a few examples there for you. And pinyin will become your best friend. And so make great use of it. You've got a lot of great opportunities there to see, how to properly speak Chinese. And like I said, even if you're not saying it correctly, it is important, and it really goes a long way even if you attempt to do so. So let's say you're meeting with a supervisor or a client that has no English skills and you have no Mandarin skills. It's really important, if you can afford it, to have an interpreter. In terms of an internship, your supervisor may have an interpreter with them, or the CEO or president of the organization may have an interpreter, as all of our supervisors are English speaking. So it's important when using an interpreter that you use short, clear sentences. You use common versions of a word rather than a more in-depth version. So in some cases here in the United States, you may say, well, working with a certain firm. You may want to say working with a company, as that is more easily translated. It's also important that you keep eye contact with the individual that you're communicating with and not the interpreter. From personal experience, this does take some practice. It's difficult sometimes to keep eye contact with an individual that you're not speaking the same language with. You're naturally draw your attention to the interpreter, but it's important to maintain that face and respect, that you maintain eye contact with your supervisor or the client that you're speaking with. And if you are without an interpreter, avoid spending too much time, like I said, once again, talking directly with them or the staff that may be speaking English. It's important that you maintain that contact with the most superior person in the room. When maybe starting a business in China, it's beneficial to have a Chinese name on your business card for yourself, as well as a company Chinese name. It's also very popular to make sure that you find a character that has a similar sound to your English Chinese name or business, that has a strong meaning or strength and good fortune with it. You also want to build a Chinese website and print Chinese brochures for your company and or your own personal profile. These are good things to keep in mind when wanting to start a company or building your own personal network. And at networking events, it's very particularly important that you bring your business cards with you. As I mentioned, as part of the program, you will get those 200 cards. And you also engage on social media platforms like LinkedIn or other social media like Weibo, which are great ways to find out about local networking events occurring, which in China happen every single day since it's such an important aspect of the business culture. This is one that kind of goes without saying, but you might as well add it as a point, and it's be respectful. During conversations, you are not expected to require to talk about the Great Leap Forward or other historical events in Chinese history. It's definitely important that you be respectful of sensitive issues. Here in the United States, we say, you don't talk about politics or religion. Well, in China, it's somewhat the same, but you don't talk about As I like to say, you don't talk about the 3 Ts or China's human rights or Falun Gong. So Taiwan, Tibet, Tiananmen Square, China's human rights records, and Falun Gong are kind of off the table. Chinese are very patriotic people, and it's really important that you respect the culture and seek to understand it before you're making judgments. This is something that comes obviously with time, but also is important to know for your first networking event in China, that you carry conversations maybe about your life in the US or why you're interested in being in China. And if you aren't sure about the topic, sensitive or not, it's just the best route is to just keep polite small talk. Like I said, talking about your education background or your interests in China, or asking them questions about their businesses and their successes in China is always a great small talk point as well. So along with that, you want to make sure you do your research. It's very important to consider the following points before heading out to China. Understanding that China is undergoing some of the fastest paced development ever experienced in human history. The greatest example of this is the Pudong skyline that you can see here in the picture on the right. This skyline was not around about 25 years ago. As a matter of fact, that whole portion or peninsula side of the river was not even developed, and now it's home to over millions of people and some of the top businesses of the world. Rules and regulations in China can change very quickly, as we saw recently with Obama's visit to Beijing, where now visa regulations changed within 1 week, and visa regulations, especially for U.S. citizens, have been lightened a little bit. China is also very diverse. Many times Americans don't realize this, that it is quite the melting pot of cultures and languages and ethnicities, and there is a lot to learn from different cities and regions, especially when it comes to culinary and the food, to the people, to the languages. There's hundreds of different dialects of Mandarin. The 2 biggest one is Mandarin itself as well as Cantonese, but there's a wide diversity in the language. Also, when doing business in China, it's important to remember that it's a very fast-paced international environment. So it's always sensible to err on the side of caution. If it's too good to be true, then it might be. And to be careful if it is too good to be true, because sometimes that can occur because it's so fast-paced. So I think the last point, I love that this is our 10th of our top 10, is that understanding that things in China are in a long-term view. Here in the United States, I believe it's more of our business culture is today and tomorrow, and focused on the present and how quickly we can seal deals and move on and hopefully maybe do business again in the future. But in China, it's much more of a long-term relationship. Nurturing a fruitful relationship with a Chinese company or individual requires repeated contact and cultural understanding to build on that trust. Once again, falling back on that point previously of we must first be friends. So be self-aware and realistic. Understand that today's banquet or karaoke night or patience during the long contracts that are taking a while to be finished may be a turning point for a profitable relationship in the future. Here at CRCC Asia, we experienced this through our recent dramatic growth in our professional networks in China. Our years of being established in our 3 cities are beginning to pay off immensely with a wide variety of opportunities. And we can definitely speak to these points. So we're happy to share that knowledge with you as well. So to connect with us some more, we are on all of the Western major social medias like Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, Pinterest. I think we just recently got a Tumblr account. And you can also obviously find us on LinkedIn. We've got some great YouTube videos, and also if you are in China, Weibo and Youku are great websites as well to learn more about our program. Also, if you feel like having a chat with us, we do have a lot of offices globally. Here in the United States, we have offices in Shawneon, Delaware, as well as San Francisco. And then we also have our most recent office in Toronto, Canada. But if for some reason you find yourself traveling to other parts of the world and want to connect with the CRCC Asia office, we're there for you as well. Spain, Italy, Australia, and our global office in the United Kingdom in London. So as we mentioned, this was our last webinar for 2014. We wish everyone a wonderful, happy holidays and a happy new year. If you want to check out some of our other webinars, you can find them on our YouTube page. One of our top popular topics this year was our summer internship programs. We had a great presentation from one of our alumni here in the United States. We also had some nice presentations regarding how we do our placement process at CRCC Asia, which carries a lot of questions, and also life in China as an intern. And then if you are just chiming in now, you can find more tips. This presentation for top 10 tips of networking in China will be on our YouTube page within the next 24 hours as well. Last but not least, we are having a December discount. So if you do apply and pay in full, and you are accepted, and you pay in full by December 31st, we are offering $150 and 180 Canadian dollars off any of our 2015 programs. We've already had quite a few students take advantage of this. It's always fun. So please keep if you have any more questions about that, this is also good for our European offices. I think it's about 100 pounds there. It's the equivalent of 150 USD. So that is the presentation for today. I'd be more than happy to take any questions anybody may have. So there is a question opportunity there on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them on there, and I'm back. So yeah, please feel free to ask some questions, or once again, you can check out our YouTube page for more of our wonderful webinars that we posted in the past. Give you guys a few minutes to sort that out. Just to kind of give you guys an idea, I know I reference the business cards quite often during the presentation, so here's an example of one. Our business cards are just like our employee business cards. So here's an example. We've got a English on one side, and then if you flip it over, you've got it all written in Mandarin as well. So these are the very similar business cards you would receive as a participant on the program, and very professional. And a lot of students have them to use during the network events. So we actually got a question popped up. Noel asked recommended cultural guides for participating on the program. This is something that we actually do once you've participated in the program. We do provide you with a great reading list of information that you can gain. Also, we have some links on our website to learn more information. Also, she's also asking, do you have any recommended YouTube videos or on practical business culture? You know, that's something we could definitely get back to you. I will talk to our tech team to see if we can get some videos put up on the website or on our YouTube page for you, Noel. Off the top of my head, I don't have any, or let's see, you've got a lot of questions, which is great. Recommended organization to do business cards or program material translations. So we do it all in-house. Luckily, because we do have offices worldwide, we are able to accommodate those requests to do it internally. We do offer consulting services as part of our program. So if that's something, Noel, you'd be interested in possibly learning more about, I encourage you to drop us a line. You can email us at sanfrancisco@crccasia.com. All right. Any other questions that I can help you guys out with today? I do have one more tip, but if anyone has any questions, you can definitely drop a line. All right, so my last thing I always like to talk to students about, and I'm kind of excited I can show people today, is typically in the United States, when you are handing someone a business card, you would just, hand them a business card with one hand. So that's something that is not practiced in China. In China, it's very important that when you hand someone a business card, you do it with two hands, and you do it facing like this. So when they receive their card, your card, it is facing them so they can easily read your name as soon as they receive your card. So it's really important that you practice that, especially if you're headed out to China soon, or if you're heading to a networking event. Practice how you hand a card. It's the little things in China that really add up to building those relationships, and this is definitely one of them. So two hands, and hand people business cards with the card facing their direction. All right. Okay. So yeah, I'll hang out here for a few more minutes. Please feel free to drop us a line like Noel did. Noel, thank you very much for your great questions. If you guys do have any additional questions, I encourage you to reach out to your regional offices. Here in the United States, we've got the San Francisco office. You can reach us at 415-243-0968, or you can also email us at sanfrancisco@crccasia.com. All right, Eleanor actually has a really good question that I'm going to throw up here for everybody. We have about Guanxi. Can you talk about effective versus cognitive trust building? How to balance both? I think it's a really great question, and I think the most effective way that you can do Guanxi is to network and touch base with as many people as you possibly can. This is really important in learning about our program and learning about Guanxi, is that you are going to find that the more people you meet, if you're going to try to do business with someone else, you could use your network to add validity to a person you're going to possibly do business with. So you can tap into your network and say, hey, do you know about XYZ? Are they a great organization? Are they a great company? And through that network, they'll also find out that you're asking about them, which is showing that you're building their trust with them. So I really encourage that. So Caroline Murphy has another great question here. She says, are these tips generalized across China, or do you have any location-specific tips for Shanghai? So yes, typically the information that we're talking about today is going to help you throughout China. Shanghai in particular, to answer Caroline's question, is a very international city. So it's important that you also know maybe the country that the person you're networking with is from. It's also important that you still maintain those Chinese practices. Language-wise, in Shanghai, they do speak a dialect. As I was mentioning earlier, there's hundreds of different dialects of Mandarin. Shanghainese is what's spoken in Shanghai. And if you can pick up a few words in Shanghainese, maybe hello or how are you, that'll go a long way for you. And Noel asked a great question about the business cards again. I love it. So do Asian countries hand out their business cards in the same manner? You know, I've only personally worked in Korea and China. I know some of my colleagues have worked in Japan as well. When handing business cards in Korea, since it isn't the same, you can do it with one hand. I think the importance of handing a business card, though, facing forward, so that when you hand the card, they are receiving it with their name, so they can easily read it, is important. And also in Japan, a kowtow or a bow is always respected as well when handing a card. So those are different things that you can learn maybe from talking to an organization that specializes in different countries. It is important, I would say, regardless of where you're going in Asia, to learn about the business cultures and to learn about the proper way to hand business cards. Even in the United States, you know, it's important to learn that. So yeah, great question, Noel. Thanks. All right. Any other questions? Please feel free to drop them in there. We'll be around here for another about 5-ish minutes. Be able to help out with any questions you may have. Let's see. So one other, from my own personal experience that I can tell you, is that I think the hardest thing that was for me to make an adjustment from is the understanding that business deals in China are more than likely to not be made in a boardroom. As we talked about quite often, you're going to be going out to dinners or karaoke, you know, and this is something that you are seeing a slight switch here in the United States. I know my father personally, who's been working in the United States and is a pretty established businessman, has always joked recently that he's making more and more deals on the golf course. And in China, you're starting to see more and more deals historically being made outside the boardroom. It's, as I mentioned previously, it's those little instances where you do make yourself available to the dinners, to the karaoke nights, to the company outings, that really builds that relationship, builds that opportunity to get to know someone, which falls back to that quote we were talking about earlier, where, you know, at first we must first be friends in order to do business. And I think that's something that for me, when I first started learning about doing business in China, was a quote that I had plastered all over my desk, that you must first be friends. And that's something that's very important, and that falls back on that building that relationship and understanding. All right, well, I think that's about it for today, guys. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to email us. We also crccasia.com. We are there generally Monday through Friday. All of our global offices tap in to use that, so it's generally available Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day. And please visit our local offices. Wishing you guys all a happy holidays and a happy new year. And if you have any questions, please don't feel free to contact us. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.